Today, I want to talk a little bit about the Apple Vision Pro. The Apple Vision Pro is out now and people are using it. And I want to talk a little bit about my predictions for, I think, the future of these devices, what it's going to mean for things like smartphones and computers and just any other way that we interface with technology at this point, and what we can expect in the future. And if I think this is a good direction that we're moving. If you know me, you probably know where I'm going to go with this. I'm Spencer, and I like to talk about simple living, frugality, and how to reduce your usage of technology in this modern world that we're living in. I guess how to interact with technology more intentionally in a world where technology is really trying to slip into every part of our life. And the Apple Vision Pro is a perfect example of this. So I've watched a few videos of the Apple Vision Pro since it's come out. I watched Casey Neistat's video. I watched the ones that MKBHD did. The Apple Vision Pro is definitely a crazy, interesting tool. It's pretty funny seeing these people walking around with almost these kind of like 80s looking back to the future type devices running around New York or wherever they are. It's obviously quite a silly sight at this point. But I think that Apple's onto something. And I think it was Casey who said this in his video that this Apple Vision Pro that he has, the one that's out right now, is the worst Apple Vision Pro that will ever exist, right? It's the first model. It's going to get better and better from here. This is the first really entry by Apple into this market, and it's a pretty good one for what it is. Obviously, as you're running around and stuff, it's still quirky. It still kind of pops in and out like the screens and stuff. It's not the most intuitive thing it looks like, but as I said in my Ray-Bans stories video, the one about the Ray-Bans glasses, companies are betting on this part of your face, this part of our bodies as to where they're going to be developing their products, I think, for the future. I think that we're going to see cell phones disappearing in the next couple of years. Maybe in the next decade, it might take some time. But companies are really trying to create these all in one type devices, which cell phones already have been up until now, right? Like cell phones up until now have basically just been are all in one. People have got rid of iPods. They've got rid of point and shoot cameras. The segment of point and shoot cameras is pretty much dead because the iPhone smokes them, because these high quality Android phones smoke point and shoot cameras and they fit in your pocket and they do so many other things, right? Just the AI kind of technology inside of phones that are able to process the image so much more than a camera can are able to just produce pretty insane results for the size of the sensor and whatever. I'm a camera guy, so that's why I can talk so much about the camera stuff. But phones already do so much. They kind of have limited the need for so many other products if you wanted to be a true techno minimalist about it. And I think the one thing about the phone is you have to put it away, right? You have to put it in your pocket. You're not going to just hold it in your hands all the time. But with something like the Apple Vision Pro, you put it on and you could just leave it on. Now, mind you, with the Apple Vision Pro, there's a battery that you have to carry around like a brick that only lasts a few hours, and then otherwise you have to connect it to a wall. So, once again, I'll say this is a very early iteration of this type of product. This is one of the first that we've seen. This isn't going to have a mass adoption rate yet, I would say, but these are going to get better. You know, these are going to get better. The batteries are going to get more efficient. They're going to get smaller. I think they're not going to look like goggles eventually. They're just going to look like a pair of glasses. And eventually, we're going to see people interfacing with technology at every second of their life. We already are doing stuff like that now, right? People wake up in the morning, they check their phone, probably before they go to the bathroom. They then maybe listen to a podcast on the way to work or listen to music. As soon as they go to work, they're often working with technology the entire day, whether it's some sort of application or they're using a computer for the whole day. They drive home, listen to technology, sit down in front of a TV or Netflix or YouTube or whatever it is, look at their phone, go to sleep. So people already are spending their entire day interfacing with technology, but there are those fleeting moments where you can put it away, right? Because these things up until now have had to be hooked up to something like a wall, like a TV or a computer or a phone. You have to put it in your pocket. You have to take it out and actually choose to use it. But with something like the Apple Vision Pro, and I think in the future, as they develop these, and as I said, make them a lot smaller, it's going to be something that you're going to be able to wear at all times of the day. You wake up in the morning, you put on your goggles, and you go to your day. People looked silly when AirPods first came out. I remember when AirPods first came out, people saw these little sticks sticking out of people's ears, and you kind of just looked, I don't know, I don't want to say you looked like a tool if you had them, but definitely there was a bit of a like a eye roll when you saw people walking around the city wearing AirPods at the very beginning. And now people just having headphones or AirPods in their ears is just like the most common thing ever now. You almost are just like, you don't bat an eye whatsoever when you see people wearing AirPods. And I think it's going to just be something like that. It's going to be slower to come to that state, but it is going to eventually happen where people just walking around with these types of spatial computing or whatever you want to call them, VR goggles, it's going to just become normal to see. And I think this isn't the best thing for society. Like, I like the idea of an all-in-one. I like the idea in a sense that you don't need to have a whole room full of technologies. The space that actually takes up, it can just be replaced by one device. That's pretty cool. My coworker has a phone it's an Android phone, and it's fully able to be hooked up to a computer monitor, and it goes into like a desktop mode when he uses it. So he's able to just bring that like little phone on the road and hook it up to his TV at his hotel and bring a little keyboard and mouse and fully use it like a computer when he travels around. I thought that was pretty neat that something so small was able to do all of those things. So I can definitely appreciate the appeal of something like the Apple Vision Pro or these future iterations of VR goggles and glasses that will be coming out, I imagine. And I understand some of the creative implications and uses for them that would be really beneficial, honestly. Things like computer, like video editing, being able to have your timeline right in front of you, the entire thing, maybe scroll through the timeline physically or have your video that you're editing up huge, just taking up the whole room. Like, forget having a projector or a giant TV in your room. You can just sit with these goggles on and your entire room can be the screen. I understand why that's cool and why that is, but could be perceived as useful and why that is appealing for sure. But my concern is just that this is a slippery slope that we're on right now. And it's going to be harder and harder for people to consume this technology more intentionally. And, I watch Shawn James from My Self Reliance a lot. He's a fellow Ontarian, and he talks about the divergence that he sees between people and technology. And you see people who want to live more primitive, traditional lives, we'll say, who are kind of shunning a lot of this technology and they're choosing to kind of be back to the landers, getting rural land, building homesteads off the grid, that type of thing, adopting some technologies, but in a very limited sense. And then you see people who are going the complete opposite way, who are choosing to live more urban lifestyles, who are choosing to pay for most of the services in their lives, potentially just rent them, who are choosing things like the Apple Vision Pro when they come out. I saw somebody recently got the first neural implant, which will be another video. I'm sure I'll talk about that. There's people like that who are fully believing that technology is just going to solve everything and we need to go farther and farther into that. I'm not fully with Shawn on it about this whole divergence thing, but I do think that this is a slippery slope. The more that we fully allow technology to have a spot in every second of our waking day and even potentially our not waking day, I don't think that's good. I think that we're going to find that we are under control of these companies that run these technologies, advertisers who sustain these companies through paying for attention. We're going to be tracked to a level that we've never been tracked before because these things, I'm sure, will have like heart rate monitors and they're obviously able to see what you see and listen to what you say. We're going to be under the control of these corporate entities that run these products. And I don't think that is a good thing. It's easier when you have all these all-in-one devices, I think, to just cut one out and to put one away and not bring it with you and use it a little bit less. But when this one thing has control of everything, I think it's going to be vying for your attention all the more. And I think it's going to be harder and harder for us to pull ourselves away from these tools as they become more and more enmeshed in our everyday experience. When Mark Zuckerberg did the announcement for his Ray-Ban glasses, he mentioned we're not going to have to choose between our everyday experience and interfacing with technology anymore. And I think that is the way that this stuff is going to go, is that it is going to literally become just part of us, that we're never going to have to take the tool off, and that it is going to just be around at all times, um, distracting us, manipulating us to a degree, influencing our behaviors, taking note of our behaviors, tracking our behaviors, and selling things to us based on those things that they've learned from tracking, based on the data that they've gathered. I don't think this is good. You know, I'm not against innovation. I like certain technologies. I'm intrigued by these technologies to a degree. Would I ever own one? I don't know. Probably not, but maybe, you know, if that's the way that everything goes and there's like no phones anymore, you might have to get something like this. But I just don't know if this is the right way for technology and for us to be moving, is this constant connection. I mean, we're already pretty much there, but fully on us at all times. I don't think this is the way for things to be going. I heard somebody mention in one of the comments on one of my videos, it was decentralized technology. And I think that can mean a lot of different things. That can mean decentralized around, it's not one device, you know, you don't have like a phone or an all-in-one like the Apple Vision Pro solving all of your problems through this one device. And it also means decentralizing from one specific company like Apple or, you know, Google or whatever it is. I think that that might be the way to go, is choosing the technologies you need, choosing what's important to you, choosing the companies that you support or that you want to be supporting, or, you know, choose a company that you don't really like, but just give limited support to them by not letting their one product be your all in one with how you interface with all of society. I think this is going to be the way to go. You know, I'm using something like the iPod. I'm choosing less connectivity in the products that I pick up because I want less connection with these companies. I don't want these companies to be able to know all the music I'm listening to, for example, and be able to serve me things based on that. Or I don't want them to have all this data about me. In society, generally, that's getting harder and harder to step away from. You really have to modify your devices in order to make them security forward. There's certain brands like Punked that are offering OSs in their new phones that are very security focused. Just to be a part of this society at this point, you have to use technology. You have to give up some of your privacy, some of your freedoms, just to go to work and just to be part of society. And I think 10 years from now, we're going to have even a very more intruded on privacy landscape. Um, Things are going to be a lot different and potentially worse than they are today. I hope not, but potentially. What I intend to do going forward is I'm not going to give my smartphone up yet, but I'd like to lean on more single use devices, as I've mentioned before. Like I'm using my iPod, I have my Punked MPO2, my dumb phone. I've looked into other like flip phone options. I'd be interested in trying Punk's MCO1 if they ever put that out. Anytime I use social media, I try to use it through web. I try to use it through my computer rather than my phone. I try to not pick my phone up as much as possible. I don't want it to be easier to get on these apps. I don't want it to be easier to, you know, take myself out of the moment by taking a photo, right? With the Apple Vision Pro, you're looking at every scene through a screen. You're looking at your family, you're looking at a beautiful landscape, you're looking at whatever you're looking at, you're not actually looking. You're looking at a screen. I don't think that's a good thing. So that's about it for today, guys. I hope you found this interesting. Just my thoughts on the Apple Vision Pro. Do you guys think this is a crazy thing? Do you guys want this thing to come around? What do you see for the future of technology? Do you think we're going to see more and more of these goggles, or is it going to go some complete other scary way that I don't even want to think about? Let me know. I'd be happy to hear from you. That's all for me today. We'll see you in the next one.